Shalom, shalom. Welcome everyone once again to the DCB channel. Hoping and praying that on this holy Shabbat day that the Most High God has blessed us all. Continue to bless us and protect us and be with us. We ask that Yehovah continue to be with His people scattered in the four corners of the earth, and that He continues to shine His light upon us, and that He will speedily return us back to the land which He promised our fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We thank Yehovah for the Shabbat day. We thank Yehovah for the last two holy days that have just gone by, Yom Teruah, the day of the blowing, and this past Wednesday, the end of this past Wednesday, we also had Yom HaKippurim, the Day of Atonement. I know that some of our brothers and sisters just finished their fast, so some of you that did just finish your fast, I also welcome you, and I thank the Most High God for all of our lives. We stand here before this great King, and we give Him thanks and glory, because unto Him all the glory is due. It's not to be given to a man. It's not to be given to a piece of rock. It's not to be given to a piece of stone or something made out of gold. But all the glory is due to the Creator of the universe, Yehovah Zebaot. And we uplift His name, and we give Him thanks for our lives. It's important even in these times and the things that's going on that we must really hone down and remember where we get everything that we get from. We get it from the Supreme Intellect. There's so many things going on over in Mecca. There was a trouncing or a stampede. Over 700 people died, got trampled to death, because they're going to worship a rock, and this supposedly is supposed to be the holiday that for them, where you make your Hajj or your pilgrimage. This is the time that all Muslims are supposed to make in their lifetime, are supposed to make a pilgrimage to Mecca to go see that big rock over there. But the Most High God told us not to worship anything in the heaven above, anything in the earth beneath, or anything in the waters under the earth. So going over, and this happens every year, people get trampled to death over in Mecca, but you would think that by now they would learn that you take in your life in your own hand. So regardless of whatever, we still pray for people, because the Most High tell us not to rejoice in the death of anyone. So we pray for those people over there, families who lost loved ones, and it's unfortunate, but if you keep the laws of God and if you follow the laws of the Most High God, something like that would not have happened. So also here in New York City, Pope Francis is in town, and the people are going crazy. That's another story for a whole nother day. I'm not going to get into that right now. Maybe I'll do a lesson on Christianity soon, and we could get into that a little. But anyway, tonight's lesson is about the last Ingathering / Feast of Booths. We're going to go into some of those precepts to so that the people could be a little bit more educated about the Feast of Booths. I mean, most of you already know about the Feast of Booths. Initially, it was called the last Ingathering, and I gather that and that happened earlier in our journeys in the wilderness. That was before we really got into our journeys. It was called the last Ingathering. The Most High God told us about the 3 times that we should appear not empty, which was, the first one was coming out of Egypt, It was the Passover, and that was instituted as we came out of Egypt. Um, then after that would have been the first ingathering, which is the really the first ingathering of the barley harvest or the wheat harvest or whatever, where we will bring that up to the Most High God, and we will present some burnt offerings or whatever. And then after that, then we get the after that we get the last ingathering. So those were three things that the Most High God commanded us to do as we were coming out of Egypt, and as we dwelt into the wilderness. As later we will see, the name the Feast of Booths was given to it, and that was to symbolize our, the way that we dwelt in the wilderness in booths, and to bring to remembrance all the things that we did, in the wilderness. So, but prior to that, it was connected with our last ingathering or our last harvest. Basically, that's what the feast is about. Um, get our last ingathering now, or our last harvest, and that will last us all the way to our first harvest again, which is at the beginning of the year. So that also shows you that this is not the beginning of years of the year as the Jewish people would claim it to be, or else it wouldn't be called the last ingathering. The first ingathering is all the way around, Abib in that time, in that season, during the time of Pesach, or during the time of Shavuot. So that's pretty much the beginning of the year of our calendar. So that's also a way that we could look at things. So at this time, first I would like to go into I want to go into the book of Exodus, chapter 23, starting from verse 14, and it reads on this wise: 3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year. This is the Most High God speaking, telling us that 3 times in the year we should keep a feast unto him. The feast of unleavened bread shalt thou keep. 7 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, as I commanded thee, at the time appointed in the month of Abib, for in it thou camest out from Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty. So the Most High God is giving the command that, we already went through the time of Pesach, and it's talking about the feast of unleavened bread at this time. That we should have a feast for 7 days, and we should get rid of all the leavening out of our homes. And this is an appointed time, an appointed season, the month of Abib, for we came out of the land of Egypt. So this is to commemorate our exit from the land of Egypt, which was in haste. We didn't have time for the dough to rise. We didn't have time to put that sourdough into the fresh dough. It was we was leaving. There was no preparation. Pack up what you got and let's go. So this was to commemorate that. Verse 16, and the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labors, which thou sowest in the field. So the first fruits of thy labors which thou sowest in the field. So that was when we would bring the 2 wave loaves. That was the feast. Later was named the Feast of Weeks. But initially it was called the Feast of Harvest, which would be our first fruits, our first harvest. That would be the wheat harvest that will be coming up, and we will bring the 2 wave loaves of the wheat that would just be coming up, and wave them before the Most High, and the priest will have to go through that whole thing. It says, and the feast of ingathering at the end of the year, the feast of ingathering, which is what we know today, and what is specified today is Sukkot, but initially it was called the feast of ingathering at the end of the year, when thou gatherest in thy labors out of the field. When thou gather in your labors, meaning the time that you put in, the work and the effort, that was considered your labor, because you remember our people were agricultural people, and they always were working. They were always in the field. They were always working, and and we see that they were agricultural people. So keeping that in mind, we know that the Creator blessed us. He blessed us to know. He blessed us with substance. And He blessed us with substance. He gave us food to sustain us, and He never failed us. So we thank the Creator for that. And also, if we look here, let me see. It tells us that all males shall appear and not empty. It wasn't commanded for it was really for all males that were fit to do that, or to appear before the Most High. Meaning, if you had some substance, most likely it would be the head of households who were the heads of the households, who could represent the whole household. But the Most High also gave us reassurances in our lives, because you will say to yourself, well, if all the males appear and not empty, then what happened to the women and children? Like, do they stay home? And is it something where other nations could attack us because they know that we're vulnerable during that time, because we send the women away, because the women stayed home and the men are all down in Jerusalem, so forth and so on? And that's a very valid question, because those are one of the questions that I used to have as I was growing up in this way of life. But now I want you to go with me to the book of the same book of Exodus. We're going to we're going to go down to chapter 34, verse 24, and let's see what it says. It says, well, let's start from verse 23. And it reads, 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before Jehovah God, the God of Israel. For I will cast out nations before thee. So this is talking about, this is before we even got into the land of Canaan, which is later known as the land of the land of Israel. The Most High is telling us about the 3 times in the years that we should appear, that all males shall appear. And He's reassuring us. He said, for I will cast out nations before thee. It was the Canaanites that He will cast out from before us, and enlarge our borders, and make our borders larger, where all of us could dwell in there comfortably, and even strangers that might come in the midst of us to live the way that we live. Neither shall any man covet thy land. Said, neither shall any man covet thy land when thou goest up to appear before Jehovah thy God 3 times in a year. Meaning that the Most High God would have safeguarded our land. This is one option, that even if we don't go down with our family and we leave our women and children behind, that no man, if we did things according to the laws of the Most High God, that no harm would have crossed our borders, that our enemies would be at ease with us during that time of the year, that our enemies wouldn't even think about committing an act of such. So it gives us an insight to the protection of the Most High and what He has on His people, and how He covers us under His wing, and how we are under His protection. Right here it says in the commentary, cover thy land. God will shield their homes against enemies who might seize such a favorable opportunity to attack the women and children. So you see the same thing, that the Most High God is going to cover us, and He's going to protect us from all attacks. This is the God that we serve. He's our protector. He's our shield. He's the one who gives us protection throughout any kind of adversity. So we thank Him for that. So we see that instance. But also, if we go into the book We also know of families who traveled down, together when they went, when the man had to appear 3 times in a year. So let us go to the book of, the first book of Samuel, starting from chapter 1. And let's read there and also see that there were different instances to what people did during these holy seasons. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to everyone in the room. May the Most High God bless you all. The topic tonight is about the feast of booths, which was originally known as the first Ingathering. As I went through that. It was acknowledged as the Feast of Booths later on as we went in through our travels through the wilderness, and then it was a memorial to build booths. But initially, when we first came out of Egypt, it was, the Most High was giving us regulations about our ingathering. Naturally, when we're talking about the Feast of Unleavened Bread, that was born coming out of Egypt. We didn't have time to prepare, so therefore the Most High told us that just don't let you didn't have time for that dough to sour to put it into new dough, so to make that bread to rise. So there was born the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and we had to eat unleavened bread for 7 days, and we had to get rid of all the leavening out of our homes. Then secondly, it would have been the Most High was giving us instructions. Remember, we weren't in our land yet. The Canaanites had not been removed yet. But yet the Most High was giving us instructions. So when we went into the land, He told us that our first fruits, which would be our wheat harvest, that on that time we will bring up 2 loaves, wave them before Him or whatever. That was later recognized as the Feast of Weeks, because we had to count to ourselves 7 weeks, and on the 50th day, it would be later known as Shavuot, which basically means weeks. And then later in the year, the last ingathering, like I just explained, the Jewish man calls Yom Teruah Rosh Hashanah, and he calls that the beginning of the year. But why would in the 7th month be the beginning of the year, and why will the Most High call the last ingathering during Sukkot the last ingathering if that was the beginning of something? It doesn't make any sense. It couldn't be the last of something if you're calling it the beginning of something. So that's just a little insight on things, and and how you do it. So before it was called Sukkot, it was called the Feast of Ingathering, the last ingathering. So I hope everybody is up with me and is understanding what I'm trying to convey. So now, as far as I already broke down what the Most High said, that He will protect us, that He will cover us. If you read in Exodus chapter 34, verse 24, because the question was, well, if all men must appear, what would happen to the women and children if they stay unprotected at home? Can't the enemies pick that time to say that we're vulnerable and attack and take our women and kill our children, or whatever it is that they want to, or take our children for servants? So the Most High told us here. He says in Exodus 34 verse 24, for I will cast out nations before thee, and enlarge thy borders. Neither shall any man covet thy land when thou goest up to appear year. To appear before Jehovah thy God 3 times in the year. So the Most High is reassuring us that nothing will happen to us or to our children as we go down and we make the pilgrimage, to Jerusalem in order to appear before Him 3 times in a year. So the Most High is just giving us that reassurance. He's letting us know that He got our backs, and that we will be protected. But I also wanted to show that families, it wasn't, although it wasn't commanded for women to go down, sometimes, some brothers took their whole family down with them. So Let us go to the first book of Samuel. That's why I asked everyone to go there. Chapter 1, verse 1. And it reads, there was a certain man of Ramathaim, a Zuphite, from the hill country of Ephraim, whose name was Elkanah, son of Yeroham, son of Elihu, son of Tohu, son of Zuph, an Ephraimite. He had 2 wives. The name of the one was Hannah, and the name of the other Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. Now this man used to go up year by year from his town to worship and to sacrifice to Yahweh of hosts at Shiloh, where the 2 sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were priests of Yahweh. On the day when Elkanah sacrificed, he would give portion to his wife Peninnah and to all her sons and daughters. But to Hannah he gave a double portion, because he loved her, though Yahweh had closed her womb. So this shows that families traveled together to the place appointed by the Most High God to go worship and to go sacrifice. So in all instances, it wasn't just the males traveling alone. Sometimes they came with their whole family. This man would come with his 2 wives and his children, and to come and show respect to the Most High God. So some men made it their duty, some people made it their duty to bring their whole family down to worship and to give up of the offering. Now I want to go into the book of Deuteronomy 16. 16 verse 13. Speak a little bit more about this day. All right, so give me 1 second here while I try to find everything here and put it in order for everyone. Here we go. Deuteronomy chapter 16 verse 13. Hallelujah. You shall keep the festival of booths for 7 days, when you have gathered in the produce from your threshing floor and your winepress. Rejoice during your festival, you and your sons and your daughters, your male and female slaves, as well as the Levites, the strangers, the orphans, and the widows resident in your town. 7 days you shall keep the festival to Yahweh your God at the place that Yahweh will choose. For Yahweh your God will bless you in all your produce and in all your undertakings, and you shall surely celebrate. So the Most High God once again is reassuring us that he will bless us if we keep his commandments and do his, it said, and produce in all your undertakings, and you shall surely celebrate. It says, 7 days you shall keep the festival to Yahweh your God at the place that Yahweh will choose, and wherever the Most High God will choose. For Yahweh your God will bless you in all your produce. For God will bless us in all our produce. So this is basically the festival for our land. You know, what we do now, we keep the memorial of the festivals. These are not truly the festivals, because these festivals are festivals that require agriculture. We don't have that. We don't have our own land. We don't, and we're not in the place that the Most High God designated. And we don't know really what it is to depend on a crop to come in and in order to bless the name of the Most High. So everything we doing at this point is basically memorials of days that we can no longer keep in these the lands of our captivities. I hope that everyone is with me. These are just memorials. When we keep these days, especially the agricultural days, these are just memorials to the days. These are not really actually the way that the days should be kept, because the days that the ways that the days should be kept is really in our land with the crop booming, with all those things going on, and coming before the Most High not empty-handed, with an offering, with a sacrifice, and allow the priest to bless us and give us that blessing in order to move on for the next year until we do it all over again. So I hope that everyone is still with me. Let me know if you're still with me, if you understand clearly what I'm saying. Hope I'm not leading anyone astray. I hope that that everyone is taking in what I'm saying and is understanding first and foremost what I'm explaining. Does everyone understand? Please give me a 1, give me a yes, give me something in the room if you do understand what is it that I'm saying. If you're not understanding certain things, just ask a question and so forth and so on. So now I want to read this again, and I want to show us what the another thing that the Most High God commands us to do. You shall keep the festival of booths for 7 days, when you have gathered in the produce from your threshing floor and your winepress. Rejoice during your festival. We have to rejoice during our festivals. We can't, I keep stressing this point. You can't go to a wedding and have this great feeling, being a visitor at a wedding, like, oh man, this was great. You have that great feeling like, oh man, this was great. This was a great reception, great wedding. I come out with a high spirit. That's the same high spirit we're supposed to have for all the festivals of the Most High. We have to make those festivals enjoyable, not only to adults but to children, so that they could be a remembrance forever and that people don't forget. I always stress this and I say this. My mother's 60th birthday celebration was a blast. Everybody had fun. People enjoyed themselves. But I shouldn't have more fun there than a festival for the Most High. You understand what I'm saying? Or the fun should be equal, if not even more. You feel me? So that's what we have to work towards. We have to work towards how are we going to make these celebratory and festive times to where the children enjoy it. Too often we got caught up in the opinions of men, of what men thought that these days should be. Because what happened is that, Shabbat Shalom, Francine Grant. What happens is that sometimes we lose the essence of what being festive is about. When I was younger, I always used this point, and people are going to get tired of me. I was born in Panama, in Central America, Panama, country named Panama, where the Panama Canal is at, obviously. And every Friday in school, we used to have these things called social Fridays, meaning on this day you didn't have to use your uniform, you didn't have to you came in regular dress down clothes, you had like a short day. But social Fridays basically were Fridays, and I believe it was during the summertime as the school year was winding down, were Fridays where they would bring in someone to sing. You would have potato sack races, you'll be bobbing for apples. Those are and it was really festive. Everyone had fun, everybody celebrated. You shouldn't go to a party and have more fun there than you do at a holy day that the Most High God appointed and told us to celebrate in. So now we have to find somewhere to where we can make our holy days a celebratory thing to where everybody could enjoy it. I'm not opposed to having, godly music and making it a party, because that's what we seem to grasp and have fun with, and once you get your service out of the way, your holy convocation, which is commanded, and we're going to see that precept in Leviticus chapter 23 when we go there, when you can see that the days are refined and they're given a significance by the Most High, and they're given a certain amount of how can I say, structure. They're given more structure during that time. So we have to find a way to make these days enjoyable to everyone. When I was younger, we used to pin the tail on a donkey. Kids used to get prizes. It was even when celebrating the pagan holidays when I was young and I celebrated Xmas. It was a joy. You waited to midnight to open your gifts, and it was just that feeling of happiness, and you got that rush. Our children have to experience that with the days that with the holy days that the Most High God set apart. You know, we have to do better as a community, as a people, in causing our children to rejoice. Shabbat Shalom, Bathsheba. Yeah, we have to cause our children to rejoice during these festive seasons. It cannot be a drag. I think that we often, men sometimes get caught up in hearing their own voices. I believe that after we had prayers, after we sang some songs and we glorified the name of the Most High, I don't think that took too long. I think that right after that, we had a celebration, and we enjoyed the time and the season within the spectrum of holiness and the laws of the Most High God. But it was fun. We had fun. I truly believe that. It wasn't, some people say, well, you have, 6 other days to do that. But I'm saying we were commanded to rejoice for 7 days. Have fun for 7 days. The first day was a day of rest to free us from work. We didn't have to do any work. But nonetheless, that day was, you could still prepare for the feast, and you could do all of those things. So, we might have to look into these things a little bit more and see whether what we're doing is really rejoicing before the Most High and having fun. We have to fix certain things within this this community of people. Let me see here. The Festival of Booths, originally the fall harvest. Like I said, originally it was the last Ingathering, called Ingathering. So now, let us go to Leviticus chapter 23. Let us go there real quick. Verses 33 to 43. Now we're going to see a little bit more structure within the day. Shabbat Shalom, fam. Shabbat Shalom, Marcia Reed and Bathsheba. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. Glad to see that all of you are back on. Blessed be the name of the Most High King. And I hope that y'all are enjoying the lesson. I'm trying to keep y'all abreast of what's coming. I've done this for, I believe, for every holy day that has been coming forward. Every Friday night I try to dedicate that Friday night to that holy day for those who might not understand what the holy days are about, so that they could get enlightened and they could also gain understanding of the days. Just want to make sure I got the right chapter. Yes, I do. 23. So now, we'll go to the Feast of Tabernacles now. Leviticus 23, verse 33. We're going to start from there. And it reads, And Yahweh spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, On the 15th day of this 7th month, that will come in on Sunday, or Yom Rishon, at sundown. Now, one of the things that you also have to realize is that there are two of our holy days that coincide with a full moon. The first one will be the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And the second one would be the one that's coming this Sunday, which is the last ingathering of the Feast of Booths. That's something to look into, as there has to be a full moon when we're celebrating those days. So, sometimes with the count, you might be off a day or two, or you might be right on point. But the thing is that those days you would be celebrating them during the full moon, the first days of those particular 7-day feasts. We'll be celebrating them on the new moon. Just keep that in mind. It's food for thought. It's something that you could look into and you could research. A lot of people don't teach it that way, but that's what it is. Those days will naturally fall on full moons. Amen. So we move on. And it reads, on the 15th day of this 7th month is the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto Yahweh. So now we begin to see, now it's called the Feast of Tabernacles. It's no longer, now it's called, the Feast of Booths, Tabernacles. That word is Sukkot, or booth. And it said, on the first day shall be a holy convocation. You shall do no manner of servile work. So tell us we can't do no kol melaka, right? I believe that's the word. Give me 1 second here. Let me look it up here. Give me 1 second. Don't show you right now. Read my little bit of Hebrew that I have, that I learned from so many of my Hebrew teachers. But here we go. So I got it right here. 23:35. It says, Bayom ha-arishon mikra kodesh kal meleket avodah lo. So it's telling us on the first day, Rishon, first day is Yom Rishon, shall be and holy, Kodesh, holy is Kodesh, convocation, Mikra Kodesh, a holy convocation. Ye shall do asa, no serva, aboda, work, melaka. You shall do no melaka aboda. You shall do no serva work. Avoda. Can't do no manner of servile work. But on this day, we could do things to prepare for the feast. We could cook. Okay. You born in Panama, Aki? Is this? Oh, all right. Hold on. This is Jonah that I know. Jonah. Is this the Jonah that I know? Rabbi Chief Simeon student. If that's you, Shalom, Aki. If that's you, Shalom, Aki. I would like to get you on the stream one of these days. If this is you, I don't know if this is you, but I do know a Jonah. Good brother. Every time I see him, pleasant brother. But if this is you, just let me know if it's you. I would like to get you on one of these streams, Let me see. Now, I'm sure if this is you, I'm sure you will have a lot more to fill into with what I'm saying, and will be probably real enlightening to the people. So Let me see, verse 36. 7 days ye shall bring an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. On the 8th day shall be a holy convocation unto you. Right? So it's telling us 7 days we bring this offering before the Most High. So we will be continually going and doing things and you know and rejoicing during this season and during this time. Listen, no one gets more days off than Israelites if we in our right frame of mind in our land. You know, this would be a blessing. On the 8th day shall be a holy convocation unto you. The 8th day is a different day. A lot of people confuse it and think that like the 8th day is part of the feast, but the 8th day is actually a solemn assembly. Shemini Atzeret. It's a whole different day. It's concluding that holy season, which was brought in with Yom Teruah, the day of the blowing, and then it concludes with Shemini Atzeret, which is a solemn assembly. Goes on and it says, it is a day of solemn assembly, ye shall do no manner of servile work. Verse 37. These are the appointed seasons of Yahweh, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to bring an offering made by fire unto Yahweh, a burnt offering and a meal offering and a sacrifice and drink offerings, each on its own day. So now, there was always a contract. You know, there's some brothers who refrain from drinking wine or yayin on the holy days. Commendable, and is, you know, to each his own. But our drink offerings were always of wine. There wasn't any grape juice. You know, it was wine, and we had wine during our feast days. So this is all part of what we did. And it goes on and it says, verse 38. Beside the Shabtot of Yahweh, which is the 52 times in a year where we keep the Shabbat day, and beside your gifts, you know, besides what is it that you give to the Most High God willingly, and beside all your vows, all the things that you vowed that you were going to do, that you promised, if this happens to me, if that happens, if you bless my crop, I'm going to give you, you know, I'm going to give you extra, or I'm going to give you this, or I'm going to give you that, you know, besides all of that. Then it goes, and beside all your free will offerings, whatever you give freely out of your heart, which ye give unto Yahweh, You know, besides all of that, we still have to do the 3 times in the years and the offerings and the sacrifices that we're supposed to do. So you will say to yourself, well, how are we getting all this stuff to provide for the Most High? You see, this was supposed to be like a puzzle. You know, when you put a puzzle together and you got all the pieces in the right places, you know, then things come together. And the Most High God will bless us with a blessing that we can't even contain. But the problem is that we weren't putting the puzzle together in a perfect form. We were putting wrong pieces and forcing pieces in the wrong places, and it all fell apart. So the thing about it is that we got to put the puzzle together in the right way in order for us to get that blessing that we can't contain. You know, so let's keep that in mind. Please, let's keep that in mind. Get that blessing that we can't contain. Man, there's nothing like that. There's nothing like that blessing. Might be freezing up a little. I don't know. Maybe too many people are using my internet over here, so I don't want to stop midstream and start shutting, you know, stuff down. I think the kids might be looking at the stream also, so it's pulling some of the bandwidth into what they're looking at. They're looking at me. Verse 38. Verse 39. Howbeit on the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruits of the land. Remember the last ingathering, like I was explaining earlier. You know, this feast day wasn't called the Feast of Booths. It was called the last ingathering initially. Ye shall keep the feast in Exodus chapter 23, when you go back there and you look at it. So ye shall keep the feast of Yahweh 7 days. On the first day shall be a solemn rest, and on the 8th day shall be a solemn rest. And it says, and ye shall take you on the first day the fruit of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and borts of thick trees, and willows of the brook. Ye shall rejoice before Yahweh your God 7 days. It's telling us we should take all these things. And when we build our booths, this is what we put in them. And ye shall keep it a feast unto Yahweh 7 days in the year. You keep it a feast unto Yahweh 7 days in the year. It is a statute forever in your generations. Ye shall keep it in the 7th month. A statute forever in your generations. So we take that and we keep the memorial of it, because like I said, we can't really keep the real feast because we're not an agricultural people right now. We're not in our own land right now. But we keep a memorial of it, and we keep the day holy to commemorate the time and the season of that our forefathers, dwelling in the wilderness and booths and things of that sort. Ye shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are homeborn in Israel shall dwell in booths, that your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am Yahweh your God. So that is the memorial of us dwelling in booths. So you see, the Most High connected our last ingathering with the fact that we dwelt in booths when we left out of Egypt. So that came later in history. The Most High just connected it. So we see how the Most High made the connection. So I brought you from Exodus 23, where it was just called the ingathering, to now where the Most High made a connection, gave it a structure, and told us what we should do, and tell us how we, why we dwell in the booths. So I hope that you gotten something out of it. I hope that you gained understanding from what I brought forth. These times are festive. If you got congregations out there, if you got people, let's stress to our leaders that we need a more festive time. Make it a memorable thing. Gift giving was allowed during these times. Our forefathers gave gifts to each other, and they did things like that. So sometimes we get so caught up. We got that syndrome, like, oh, I don't want to be too quote unquote religious, and it's not really religious. Christianity and all these other religions stole a lot of the things that they do from us. Okay, shalom, still shalom to you. So a lot of the things that we do, and a lot of the things that we don't like to do, and we put it to Christianity, really originally came from us. I seen on TV how the whole thing with the Pope, and how they stole all that from us, the mitre, the robes. The only thing he didn't have was the breastplate. The fire pan with the making the place of smoke, and all that stuff comes from us. So they stole it straight out of our Tanakh. So hoping and praying that you've gotten some out of this short, brief lesson that I brought forth. If you didn't catch it from the beginning, you can always go back and look at it over. I try to keep it simple. I'm not a rocket scientist. I try to keep it simple because I know our people like simplicity, and everybody doesn't like that far out type of stuff. So if anyone has any questions at this time, you could ask the questions. If not, then I'll be blessing the name of the Most High at this time, and I'll call upon His high holy name and hope that He will bless us all in the room, continue to be with us all, guide and protect us, Grant us peace, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Grant us all the things, the endeavors of our minds that we desire in righteousness. So at this time I say shalom to Jonah ben Yisrael, Shea Yaakov, Marcia Reed, Bathsheba Yisrael, Torah 1992, Francine Grand, Dina Yisrael, Servants of Yahweh, Deborah B, Army of Yahweh, AOC Temple Guardian, Dina Yisrael, Deborah B, Ozzy, Toda, my sister, Ozzy, Khana Lewi, and Avardia. Toda to all of you. May the blessing of the Most High God enter all of you, and that the Most High God, King of the universe, protect you. I hope that your whole God continue to be with you and guide your steps. And may your whole bless thee and keep thee. May your whole make his face to shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. May your whole lift up his countenance upon thee, and may he grant thee peace. Hallelujah. Shalom, shalom. May everyone have a blessed Shabbat sleep. And I'll see y'all again tomorrow morning over at our place of worship. And may the Most High God bless us all. Hallelujah.